Flash announcement, this video along with lots of others are now available on Free TV, a streaming service in addition to the Smartwatch Ticks channel on YouTube. We're part of the Free TV Creators Clubhouse, about 100 YouTubers who've been selected to showcase on TV. Head on over to bit.ly/freetvclubhouse. You'll be launched right into the creators section, or you can simply download the Free TV app through Android, Apple, Roku, whatever streaming device you've got, free, and link into us from there. Just click the creators tab. Here we go. 3 boxes, all look identical, but they're completely different with what's inside of them. Greetings! And welcome to smartwatchticks.com. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you have already seen, the full review of the VKE400 Health Smartwatch. Amazing unit. If you saw that one, you probably saw this one for the E500. It's always a little slow on that twist your wrist thing, which we're going to be talking about the differences between these. Pretty much identical in terms of the inner workings, but some important subtle differences. This is the E600. Come on, don't be shy. There you go. It's a health band. Now, they're all the basic same operating system in different formats, and they come from different places. The VKE400 is brought to us by Fitaus, and they have a separate website that you can head over there and pick this puppy up with some discounts for you. Got the coupons and information in the show notes. The 400, I'll tell you why you may want to buy that one. The 500, definitely show you why you may want to buy that one from Banggood. Banggood's bringing it to us. It's very inexpensive, around $30. Again, hopefully have a coupon discount for you on this one. If you like the fitness band type appearance, you could pick that one up too. It's the E600. It's from Banggood, and it's about $40, a little bit under. And again, we may have a coupon for you. So all 3 of these are available, and this comparison video is broken into 2 parts. First, a quick look at the major differences between them. For detailed insight, go into each one. Then we're going to follow that with a review of the 3 the same app, H-band app, and how they all perform differently within those apps. Really help you decide. I'm going to pick up the 400. I'm just going to call them 400, 500, 600, but you got the names already. This one is a very, very well-built, hardened watch. I would say this is most likely waterproof. And I always give it a little bit of caution because you never know for sure. But when you see a build quality like this, it's stable, it's solid, it's metal back, it's glass front, it's got 2 buttons on it, nice bright screen, good details, and the overall ECG button is right here on the side. It uses these 2 plates on the back while you touch the side button, and it does an excellent job of giving you an ECG chart. And you'll see all the other data as well. So removable bands, it comes with these rubberized bands, and all of them have their own independent chest strap that you can either order or it comes with it. And you can use that chest strap to take the module apart from the bands, snap it in a case, and wear it on your body or do the readings with your hand. Now, the E500. This is an Apple size and shaped device. It pretty much conforms with an Apple look. It's got a round knob and what looks like a pill button, but that's the ECG plate here. Like I say, it's a little slow in lighting up. I don't know why, but it always seems... And then when you touch it, it goes into the app drawer. So a little funky on that. They all have pretty creative watch faces and really bright screens. No difference there. Again, removable bands. It's a decent build. It's got a solid back to it. However, the front, can you hear this? That's a plastic front to it. I had a screen protector on here. In the review, you'll see it's kind of sluggish to move around. So I've taken that off. I'm running the risk of getting a gouge or scratch in the plastic. But price-wise, in the $30 range, you might want to buy 2. One to use and keep really pristine, and another one to actually play with. Now, we move on to the band. The band is a great concept. It's like the old fitness bands. I say old because a lot of them are watches now, but if you want something that's like a Fitbit band type of an arrangement, this one is sweet. You got, again, a really good screen, removable bands on this one. The electrodes are on both sides. There's here and here. So you could wear this and touch one side, or what I typically do is just grab both of them. The other plates are on the bottom, and that makes it for really nice and easy to use. Multiple ways of doing that. So that's the basics. What are the big differences? Let's talk about bleed through. What the heck is bleed through? If you guys have owned a smartwatch, you know when you put it on your arm and you light up the diodes, red or green, or they doing their automatic thing during the light, and you roll over and it leans a little bit, you get a flash in your eyes, or worse, your partner will go, "Take that thing off!" "No, I gotta wear it all night." "No, it's blinding me." It works great as a flashlight to go to the bathroom if you've got the light happening and you lift it up. Bleed through is how much does it leak light. This is the best. The 400 is really solid. You see that raised protuberance there? Look that one up, protuberance. And it makes it so that when this is on your body and you got your straps nice and tight, you don't have bleed through. I got another watch on, yes. This is the Fitbit Sense. In the review with the apps, I use this as kind of a baseline for comparison with all of these others. And if you saw the review of the 500, and I really hope if you watch any of them, watch this, because Mr. Tick has an interesting event going on that is captured both by this one and by this one after the review. Really well worth seeing what these things can do when rubber meets the road. Anyway, I digress. This has got a really nice seal to it. So you put the bands on decently tight. Don't leave it loose for any of this. You need good readings. Tight, and you're going to have very little bleed through. Come to this one, pretty much the same, but it's a little bit thinner distance to the edges. And guess what, gang? That lets you have a little bit more bleed through. The center section is exactly the same in the plates and everything. It looks like the layout of the electronics, all of it. The case is just different. They've remodeled that. So it's shorter distance to the sides, and hence you do get a little bit of bleed through with this one. And even if it's really, not really tight, that'll hold it. But you have to make this at least a notch tighter than this one, and then it feels a little too tight to avoid the bleed through. Winner is the 400. The 500 actually comes in number 2. The band itself, well, look, it does have the protuberance. It's going to seal, but it's easy for it to rock back and forth. It's like being in one of those trucks that's like, 3 feet off the ground with big tires and jacked up suspension. Go around a corner and whee! You don't want to do that with your band. So this one, even really tight, you move a little bit, you're going to get some light coming through. It's often the green diode, because that seems to be the one they run the most. The red diode is only when it's doing blood oxygen. But when you have it in scientific sleep, these all do that reading. So, yeah, you're going to have red diode going on as well. But that's only one, and it's in the center area. The bleed through of the green is kind of the main thing. Here's the biggest one, gang. You can stop the video after this one. When you go into no, you can't. I want you to watch the whole thing. But if you don't have much time, watch this section, and then we can stop. You come over here to ECG. You're taking an ECG reading in the watch. You tap that. You make sure the plates are on your body. You're holding this, and it's going to begin. Now, I'm doing the 400. The only thing you see on the screen is a little icon changing and a beats per minute. So it's going to measure your heart rate using the electrical connections. But it's not showing you an ECG chart, and it's not recording the ECG chart in the background to transmit to the app. It's lost. It's invisible. You don't have it. All you get is a heart rate. I'm not going to waste your time, but watch the review. The same thing happens on this one, okay? Exactly, looks like that. However, this is a big plus, I find, for the E500 when you are in ECG on this one and you touch the plate and have the other plates where they belong, you actually get a live, real ECG chart. And here it comes. Usually the beginning is a little noisy, then it settles down, and there's your R wave, I believe, and that's what you can compute your heart rate from, your heart rate variability. It's doing all of that stuff. No, it's not recording this chart either. No, you can't transfer it to the app. The only way you can get the ECG charts in the app is to initiate it from the app for all three of these devices, and it works really well, as you'll see later. But if you want to take an on-the-fly ECG to see if there's something going on with your heart, this is the one you'll actually see the chart. Otherwise, you'll just get the heart rate on these two. Other big feature I like about this is each of these screens has the time. Because it's big and it's square, it has a place to show you the time of day on here. Now, on the round one, you kind of could have had that, but you kind of don't. So every one of these that you get into, whatever it is, it's not going to show you that that clock. And blood glucose, for example, right there. See, you get the chart. They're here. You get the readings across it, time and value, but you don't get, I know, it's subtle, but you have a little added feature of having that heart on there. But doggone it, it's not as good a build as the round one. And of course, the round one looks a little more dressy. This certainly looks like an Apple Watch from a, I don't know, kind of looks like an Apple Watch from a distance, right? Up to you, yeah. The band itself now, I don't know what to say about the band. There is no button, really. This is not even really a functioning button. It's kind of the whole screen is functioning. And there's nothing. They're just the plates and the screen that's sensitive. And you got to slide through, do things like that. So it's a little awkward to get around. If you want to get to all of your apps, well, from the main screen you can go back one, or you loop all the way around. But the button, there's no button that takes you there. Like in this one, you're on your main screen, tap it once, and you're into all of your apps. On this one, you're on your main screen, tap it once, it goes off. On your main screen, tap the bottom button, and it goes into all of your apps. So different ways of navigating. This is a little more challenging because there's really no button, just one sensitive thing in the center. However, what you do have on this one that you don't have on the others is this page. This is the PTT. When you look at the overall reviews, you learn that PTT is what you use to take an ECG chart using the chest strap apparatus, and it's unlimited in time. And it actually is an icon that shows up on the screen. These other ones, you don't get that by twirling around. You have to press the button. You have to go through all of the stuff here, and you have to find PTT and touch it to bring up that screen. It's doable, but it's a little more laborious. So if you're honestly looking at using, come on you, that's right, this one I got to press the bottom. Everyone's different. You go to the PTT, there. You see how they look. When you're in this mode and you've set everything up, the module is most likely not going to be on your wrist in the band. It's going to be in the little cradle, either holding it or on the chest strap around you. So being able to twirl over and hit start is kind of easy when you're trying to do it upside down on your chest. But you can get these set up ahead of time if you want, or really pull it out and look at it. Once you're in this mode, you notice they don't time out. So it's getting them all... Shame on you. You're supposed to stay on. Okay, they do time out eventually. But they stay on for a long time until you actually start it. When you start it, hello? Okay, it won't start. It doesn't start from here, actually. It starts from the app, as you'll see in the individual reviews here. It puts a little thing in the upper right-hand corner of the app, and that's how you begin taking the ECG using the PTT. Little subtle thing, but that's one of the differences as well. Are we on page one? Let's turn to page two. This is elaborate. This is where we're going to really, the rubber meets the road. I am taking you down the rabbit hole into the H-band app with all three of these. Wow. Well, here we go. I've got three different phones, each one running the latest version of H-band. Now, I don't know why this one's blue and these are green, but that's the way it is on these different phones. These apps on these Android phones are tethered to these watches right here. Well, at least 3 of them. The E400 is this round one. The E500 is this rectangular one here. And the E600 is this band right here. And strapped under my wrist is my good old Fitbit Sense. We're going to look at some of the data collected by this one in comparison with these 3. And the Ringcon ring and the Oura ring. All of it right now. You ready? Here we go. Let's look first at pedometer count, step count, basically, because it's the big number you see. The 400, which is on my right hand now. They are different hands, and I am right-handed. I have 3711 at this point in time for today. You see, it's updating constantly between these. The E500, Apple-looking one, 3000. That's a 700 difference. And the same arm, the 600, 3017. So either there's a difference between these, or these are probably correct on my left hand and I'm having more on my right hand. You'll notice some apps tethered to phones ask you, are you wearing the watch on your dominant hand or not? If it's your dominant hand, they take an account for that and reduce the likelihood that you're just going to be brushing your teeth or doing whatever with your right hand, or your left, if that's you. Anyway, showing you now comparison of these for the step counts that we've had for today. I'm going to flip us over here to Fitbit, and notice here, just went up with me moving around, 2,932. So the Fitbit on my right hand is registering lower than the 400 was, which was at 3,700. So this is more in alignment here. At this point, this one's looking like maybe it's reading high and maybe my hands are pretty close together. Hard to tell, but let's check the rings. Ringcon is on the left, which is the same as these two, and it looks like this. 3642 steps. Okay, that's closer to the 3,700 some odd steps of this one, but I'm wearing this one on the left hand. How about the Oura ring? 3549, kind of in the middle. That's on this hand, which matches up with the 3,700 or so here. So these are close. Oh, it's just crazy. But that's how we go about taking an assessment across all these different devices to see how closely they are to being accurate. I don't have an answer for you on the step count, but we can go deeper. If I come down in here and we look at sleep, here is the chart, in a sense, that you get for each of the devices, the 400, 500, and 600. And honestly, I don't like this presentation. My understanding is sleep happens in cycles that last a while. You're in deep sleep, light sleep. You go into REM sleep. You go back down to deep sleep. You might get up and be awake for a few minutes. They're more blocky, as you'll see in some of these other devices. Here, it's almost like every minute it's flipping you between deep REM or light sleep. And all I can say is take a grand look at the clustering. I notice there's a lot of red toward the very end on all of them. What else do you see? Just looking at them. Kind of clusters of red in here. And red is the REM. That's your REM sleeping. So this presentation's a little awkward, but when you break it down into the big data, now we can kind of see comparison-wise that I had 5 hours 23, 25, 5 hours 50 minutes of sleep, no waking time, no time to fall asleep. Now we get into the good stuff. REM, 58 minutes, an hour and 7 minutes, an hour and 10 minutes. So the 400, this one, is a little light on tracking the REM sleep. Light, 2 hours 41, 42, 2 hours 54, very close. Hour 43, hour 37, hour 46, these two almost identical. Pretty close there. they're all relatively close, but for this particular night, the REM sleep was a little less on the 400 than on the 500 and 600. And again, these are all on the right hand. These were on the left. I might have been sleeping funny with this hand at that point in time. It's hard to tell. But we can tell you, keeping these on the screen, what it looks like on the Oura Ring when you're in sleep mode for that particular night. And that's what a typical chart I'm used to looks like. You've got awake is the white, the light blue is REM, darker blue is light, and the deep blue is deep. Okay, deep, light, REM, and awake. Now, kind of comparing with these, where there's no awake at all, and REM is at the top, and here REM is that blue, I am seeing, and typically I have dreams just before waking up. That's sort of correlating. But this chart gives me a better feel for exactly the phases that I'm in. And of course, you can touch these and see what zone at what time you're in each of these places. But keep that one in mind as we come over here to the Ringcon and look at the sleep chart on this one. And there it is. How does that compare? Interesting, huh? And finally, let's take a look at the Fitbit and how it represents overall sleep. It's a little trickier. Got to get in here. Then I got to come down here. And there's last night's sleep time on the Fitbit with awake, very little REM sleep, and none before I woke up, light, and one little bit of deep. This does not fit what my experience is. So I'm not too pleased with the sleep that I get from reporting that I get from the Fitbit Sense, which is the most expensive of all of these watches, by the way. So I take this one with a grain of salt. The time is about the same. That's about all. They all come in within a few minutes of the time, falling asleep and waking up. But the charts are a bit different between them. Okay, let's move on. I want to explore heart rate with you next. That's your basic heart rate through the day and night. And on all three of these, the charts are really similar. The white area shows activity levels, and the green area up into the blue and it's peaking is the heart rate itself. Just taking a glance at them, they look almost identical. So they track really, really well together, whether you're on the left or the right, in handling the heart rate for our specific day in question. I love the different colors. Which one is T-Mobile? Huh? Which one's really magenta? Never mind. Maximums are here. Minimums are here. Now, the big thing is like the average, and they're all averaging 71. So aside from a few little fluctuations, I would say that heart rate is great across all three of them. How does it compare with the other devices? Well, here's the Fitbit. There, I jumped ahead for you. This is what the heart rate looks like from the Fitbit. Very similar. There's a peak you see appearing very high here at 142 at 9:58 this morning. No idea why. I don't know if that's an anomaly, but we're seeing it here too. Darn, I can't give you the exact number or time on that one. But all in all, the heart rate starts low, builds, had some event, and then it's kind of leveled off for the afternoon. So maybe a little more dramatic, but it's just a one incident across all of them. But you are getting similar type of activity in terms of heart rate. Resting heart rate 59, showing you the different zones that you are in. But I'm not getting an overall average value like we were on these guys. Now to get the reading on the Ringcon Ring, the current day's heart rate, we press the upper left-hand corner, and here you can see starting low and then peaking and bouncing around. So pretty much matches on the Ring with the watches. I got the heart rate readings, again, starting at midnight, pretty much the same. It peaks up a little bit here, and then it's kind of tapering off. So we're getting something similar. Here I got 97 to 118 at that peak area of roughly Here it says 8:30 to 9. The other one happened around 10. Not sure, but overall, your heart rate looks like it's tracking pretty well. Again, not getting a average at this point, but a sleeping heart rate and a daytime. I guess this is at 63, they're saying, for lowest average for daytime, and these are giving us 71. So that's pretty much it for heart rate. Let's jump into heart rate variability, which is handled by a ring as stress, because that's kind of where stress comes from in its interpretation. Here are our 3 standard identical user interface type watches. The 400, 500, 600 HRV looks very consistent. There's a little bit of bump up here on the 600. The heart health index is 78, 77, 77, so they're pretty close together. And the Lorenz scatter diagrams are pretty much identical. Look carefully at these guys. I don't see a lot of deviation. They seem to be following the comet pattern as opposed to any of these others. It's not really a shuttle or baton. It's not spread out like a grenade or a fork. It's not a tiny rice. It's not torpedo where it's bigger at the bottom. So it is aligning with the standard reference of comet. In terms of the actual measurements now, you're seeing those here on the chart. So between all 3 watches with heart rate variability, very, very similar. Looks pretty good. In terms of now the Aura ring, we get readiness, sleep score, activity score, but we don't really get a whole lot of heart rate variability till you get, here we go, way down in here. And this is a nighttime one, bedtime to wake time. So the pattern is similar to what we got on this one, very close. Well, it's coming off the edge, but that's what we're getting for heart rate variability with the Aura ring. And then from Ringcon now, we get back down here into heart rate variability. And it's looking like this, and they have it shown differently. It's in kind of little bar charts, and it looks more noisy or larger variability early on in the evening and less toward the morning. Not sure how we would correlate that. We again press the upper left-hand corner here. Heart rate variability. There we go. We've got kind of a spread now, which is showing you a range of HRV. Little hard to correlate between the two, but it's basically saying 10 to 174 milliseconds. The latest was 24, and the average is 46. And this is giving us a health index, so not a whole lot of correlation between how HRV is handled between the two. But when we come over here to this tab where we have stress, the overall stress score, you see this is the early morning, and this is the one that does go 24 hours. And it shows you the overall stress ratio. So we're kind of looking at this type of a chart for comparison. The 2 different rings, these different watches, and I don't have anything on stress that I know of on the Fitbit. Basically, you have to go premium for stress. It's saying 58 is stress management. For full breakdown, see details, and you got to sign up for the paid monthly measurement or premium package in order to get that. And all the previous days, same thing. You get in here and you can't see anything more than just a single number they're giving you for stress management in the Fitbit. Let's back out of these now and take a look at the next thing, which is blood pressure. Not going to talk a lot about this because I don't really trust the accuracy of blood pressure readings with watches. But we're getting numbers. These are calibrated against my personal, which I put in as 128 over 85, I believe. But just for reference purposes, at 215 is when it starts on these. These are the numbers: 127 over 91, 125 over 85, 134 over 91. You see there's a variability in there. I'm going to scroll it down to there so you guys can take a look at a page of the numbers. If you want to freeze frame it and kind of compare across to see at that exact same moment on the same body on two different arms. Let's say at 130, we got 128 over 90, 123 over 84, and 121 over 87. Not exactly the same, but not radically off either. So once you've calibrated your own entry in the H-band app to match what your cuff blood pressure is, and take some readings and compare it with your cuff reading, if they're close, great. If your cuff is always high by 10 points, always, then just add 10 points to your heart one, of your watch one, to get close. But nonetheless, it's a toy. It's for playing. It's not calibrated, FDA-approved instruments you're working with here. But this is where it starts to get fun, in these two bottom ones. Stick with me for this part, because this is what I really wanted to show you. Blood oxygen and blood glucose, which is a new measurement. The blood oxygen, you can see, is giving us a window of variability. It's like they take a reading during a particular window of time, and they're showing you the values between that. So if I go in here, it's between 96 and 98, between 130 and 140. That's a 10-minute window. So if there's a shift in blood oxygen during that 10 minutes, and I think they're only taking a reading every 10 minutes or maybe every 5. If anybody knows for sure, put it in the comments what the reading interval is for blood oxygen on the H-band and on these devices. I'll do it too if I can find it. But you see, we're getting a little bit of variability in these, 97 to 98. Here, on the 500, which is this one, it's consistently giving us basically one reading that matches 98 to 98. Very little variability, if I can get just right. There you go. This is a 96 to 98, so that's 2 points, but the whole rest of the night, it was flatline at 98. That's either because it's an error and just reading, taking a number because that's the constant number, or it doesn't have a lot of sensitivity compared to the other two. This one seems to be getting two numbers all the time, 96 to 98. It's a 2-point spread, except for one little divot right there that kind of matches up near that one. But other than that, it's straight as well. So the 400 appears to be giving us the most variability in blood oxygen reading. And the reason I bring that up is because it's within that variability that the opportunity of possibly seeing a sleep apnea event or some other kind of breathing event at night when you're holding your breath or breathing too heavy in a dream or something that could change the blood oxygen, that's kind of what you're looking for, because as you see in the reviews of each of these watches separately, we dive deep down in here and look at things like apnea and look at cardiac load and look at setting up your hypoxia on arousal to vibrate the watch or the band if your blood oxygen drops too low, to wake you up so that you can be aware that something has happened to your breathing. That's on all three of these now. It's just that the data is represented differently. We have also reviewed other bands and watches that do the same thing with the blood oxygen and the alarming, and I have a lot more detailed data in some of those. So make sure you check the playlist on sleep apnea if you want to look at some of the early watches that came out a couple of years ago with this feature. Now, blood oxygen on the Oura Ring is not really dealt with directly. You get, when you have it turned on, you get one number for the whole night. It's like an average of the whole night. You're not getting any kind of readings in between. And what I've found is that it eats a lot of my battery, drops it significantly. So I've basically turned it off for the Oura Ring. Now for the Ring-Con, different story. We tap here, get into the real-time blood oxygen here. And this is going for the whole day. So this is unlike just a nighttime reading. We've got the nighttime between here and here, about that range right there. And you see on mine, it's oscillating between about 94 to 96 or so, peaking at 99. So the whole scale is down a little bit, 94 to 99 with an average of 96 is showing up on the ring con. And there's, of course, going to be some gaps, typically when the ring slides around and the red diode isn't where it's supposed to be, right at the very bottom. Or you take it off, or you're laying and it's not sitting right. But you see that it just eliminates that rather than give you bogus data, and it'll pick back up when it can. These dips are the things that I would be concerned about, possibly of sleep apnea, especially if they went below, like, I don't know, 90. But the range is still between 94 and 99. It's decent, but I am getting a lot more visible information here than I am with these watches regarding blood oxygen. Now, another comparison with the ring is in the sleep tab. You can scroll all the way down and get the blood oxygen for the night. This is from bedtime to waking up, and it's spread out a little bit more. Here you see the range 93 to 96, with 94 being the average, and I have a little dip right there. It's not telling me the time that that's happening, but that's probably my 93 reading. Yeah, right there it is. 22, 23, 11:22 to 11:44, just after falling asleep. Yeah, so that's another way of looking at blood oxygen from the Ringcon ring. The newest watches, these three, have blood glucose in them, and I am blown away by this. I don't know much about it. I'm not diabetic, and I haven't had to prick my finger and take numbers, so I don't even know what the numbers mean, being totally honest with you. What I can tell you from looking at data, though, is that these are the most aligned measurements of any that we've seen so far. Sleep, heart rate variability, they're all over the place between them. But these almost look like they're cookie cutters taken by one instrument. That blows me away, because they're using the green diode technology in here when you do this reading to give you a number. And the numbers are consistent. Look at this. Maximum 718, 714, 721. Really close. Minimum 330, 330 across the board. Our average for the whole day so far, including breakfast and lunch, 453, 453, 452. What? Really? That is so amazing. You can touch any of these. You can see the upper part is near 7. Hard to get it exact at the same time, but it's taking it in 5-minute increments, and you're getting really, really accurate charting that is similar between devices. What it means for you and your blood oxygen, or your blood glucose, that's between you and your medical professional. If you're taking and testing your blood and you know certain numbers and certain limits, you can check it to compare with here. And again, just like all the other metrics we're looking at, if it's a little higher, a little lower, take that into consideration. If it's consistently that way, you can subtract or add a delta to match what you get with your watch with what you get with your finger prick. If it's all over the place, there's no correlation. Don't even use this at all or look at it. But this is here now, and this is brand new technology that's an algorithm-based thing that's been put into all of the watches that use the green diodes, and that's showing up in the H-band app with these three in particular. There is no blood glucose here or here or here. You're not going to see any of that anywhere. And probably not in Apple yet or Samsung yet. There's a lot of research needs to be done, and it's nowhere near close to being federally approved for use on anything other than a toy, okay? Real clear with you on that. This is not for diagnosis. If you're diabetic, this is an assist to give you some information, but it is not replacing anything you're using right now to take care of your physical situation. But it is very interesting to see what we're getting here. I'm going to set this at 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 2 o'clock. And you guys can freeze frame it and look at the ranges that are at different times and compare them across the board and see how close the three different devices are measuring blood glucose. Let's move over to temperature. Body temperature, and your skin temperature. Here's all three of them, the 4, 5, and 600. And we're in Fahrenheit, so I've got a maximum, minimum, and average value between all of them. These two are matching up really good. That is both of these on the left arm, and this one over here on the right is a little bit different for the average value. When you look at the chart itself, not much deviation in temperature for me today, which is kind of expected. Temperature isn't something that's going to change like blood pressure, glucose level, or any of those. It's going to move a little more slowly. You can see here it's gotten kind of higher toward the day as it's moved on. And we're at a maximum of 98.2, 98.4, 98.6. Automatic temperature monitoring is turned on, and you have the actual data itself as measured over the half-hour periods broken down. So you can really dissect it if you need to. And what's really fun is what it's actually measuring, guys, is skin temperature. So we're looking at body temperature, which is an estimation, but the actual thermometer touching your body is measuring skin temperature. And now you can see the 400, this one, has an average skin temperature value of 87.8, while these two match exactly over here. For whatever reason, my right arm, maybe it's on really tight, was coming in a little bit cooler than these. I don't know that there's actually a physical difference. I'd have to switch them on different arms and wear them and collect the data and average the average of the averages. Let's just say that they seem to be within a decent tolerance of each other. And I don't know anything about the algorithm that assumes or predicts your body temperature from the skin temperature, but it appears to be working reasonably well. At this point, I should have a body temperature of roughly 98.6 average. I don't know, haven't taken it with an actual thermometer to see if it's much different than these, but there's only a 4.4 spread between them. Now, temperature is one of the areas where the Fitbit really excels. Come down here to where it says Get Skin Temperature. You get kind of a weekly summary, and then you jump down into here and you get all the different temperature data, deviation from one standard temperature, which eventually you take with your thermometer and reference that. And once it's got that, it'll show you your temperature above and below. I personally like just to see the delta. For example, here on April 10th, same date, this is what the temperature distribution looks like from 10 p.m. to wake-up time at about 5 in the morning, right? And it shows you basically some information about that and why you see variations. But check out the night before, Sunday. From 10:30 to about 7:14 in the morning, 4.1, there's a significant rise in temperature happening. There we go. I guess press and hold. And wow, look, 5.6 degrees, significantly higher. So if this was 98.6, 7, or 98, 99, 100, 102, that'd be like 102, 103 degrees. Crazy. I'm not sure why in that particular instance. There's a little bit above here also the day before, and that's consistently higher. Wow. Yeah, 32% of the time above. So if you really want something that's going to track temperature, the king of it all is really the Fitbit app and the Fitbit itself. This, by the way, is without the subscription. Maybe I need a prescription. The subscription that you have to pay monthly, I'm not paying. I'm not part of that. So you're getting all of that skin temperature data for all the time you've worn it, absolutely free. And I really, really like that. Okay. Now, once again, the RingCon hasn't integrated temperature yet. The sensors are in the ring, but the data connection to the app and the presentation of the app is coming. We'll be doing an update review of the app for the Ringcon ring once it's out there. We are on the Aura ring now, though. It's having trouble connecting, which it typically does. It's very interesting, kind of finicky about that, but we don't need it for what we're looking at. I'm going to go into the readiness, and you notice in here you have resting heart rate variability, respiratory rate, and body temperature. I come into body temperature now on the Aura ring, and this is how they decide to present it. They don't know what your body temperature actually is, but they can give you a difference from your average or your normal body temperature. It's 0 for right now, but if I took it and I said it's 98.6 and I put that in, then it would say I'm 1.1 degrees below that in the estimation for today, I guess. Yeah, Monday. Here's yesterday, and you can see it change. Now, what's interesting, way back here, this is when I had a bit of an illness, and it was up higher than it should have been. And this is actually the tailing end of it, because the previous days where I don't have any readings whatsoever, my temperature was high and I was coughing and not feeling well at all. But unfortunately, the ring didn't capture any of that. And I don't know why, because I wore it. But it did catch me coming out of that sickness, dropping a little bit, dropping a little over 2, and then it got back down to normal. And it usually oscillates a little bit above, a little bit below. It doesn't change very much. So this kind of a track record of your temperature over time, over days, is helpful in showing whether or not you're catching something. As long as it catches you catching something. That was so frustrating. I missed all that important data. But this is how the Aura ring is handling body temperature. Much more detail here on a day-to-day basis when you look at these rings. Here's yesterday, and yesterday on this one. And you can see all kinds of different spreads and things going on in here. Scroll it up and you'll have all of that data. And that's temperature for these devices. Now, ECG and PTT, I think they call it. This area, I'm not really going to show you anything because there's nothing to show. Specifically, they are unique measurements that you take with each device and you get the ECG chart. I will tell you this, if I do this one, which is the 400, which is this one, and it's on my right wrist, and I press and I start it and I hold it like I am right there. On my right wrist, I'm going to get my ECG chart upside down. You see it starting to develop there on the screen? Now, all of them give you a clean, really nice chart. No problems with that at all. You're getting heart rate, QT interval, heart rate variability, and the fact that the chart's upside down is no big deal. You could just flip it and it would be correct. It's just that the electrode leads are turned around backwards than what they should be. And so whatever watch I wear on the right wrist is going to give you the inverted chart like that. Whereas if I go into this one, which is the 500, that's this one, I just simply touch it. Notice it doesn't have to be on at all. And we'll just let it get started so you can see. As long as the 2 electrodes are touching my wrist, there's a little bit noisy until it settles down. There we go. That is not typical. I'm moving and talking and whatnot. That's more typical what you're seeing right there. I'm not going to progress the whole thing. And then this is exactly the same with the band. Both sides are sensitive to ECG, so you can just kind of squeeze it and hold it like that, and it'll take its reading as well. So the ECG chart capability is here. When it's finished, it's recorded and it's there, and you can come in and play it back, and you see all that in the reviews, the full reviews of these. The PTT, which is where you're getting the ECG reading. I got to get back to the dashboard on these for this to show you what we're talking about. And again, we've mentioned this in the reviews, but what we want to show you are these pieces. This is the case, snap-in case for the round E400 watch, which goes with this one, comes in a bag, has a manual on how to do it, and it has some sticky things like that you can use to stick this metal or this piece here directly on your body, or you can use a chest strap, or you can pop it off completely, as you know, and you can simply hold it with the watch unit in here and do an extended ECG that will record directly on the app. You have to be doing it with the phone and with the app, and all of those readings using this concept are exactly the same. The only thing different is the little module you put it in. This is the round one for the 400. This is how it comes for the 500. That's the Apple square one, looking like this. And same kind of thing, but notice the difference in shape. And then the 600, which is the newest one, the band, that one, I haven't even taken it out yet, looks like this. And of course, it'll just take the bands off of the band and snap it directly in here. Same thing, you can do it by hand or with the chest strap that it comes with, or the little stick-on things as well. So you can see all three of these devices, really, they come from the same company. They've got the same technology. They've just been manufactured in a different overall case to present to you. And the operating system is pretty much identical across the board, with the subtleties that we showed you earlier in the video on whether time appears on the screen or not. And of course, this one being long and thin has a whole different way of presenting the data that you look at directly. All right, so in terms of a summary for what we've been looking at, the three different watches, the E400, 500, and 600, are comparable across the board in how they collect the data and how the H-band app presents their data. I haven't seen anything horribly erroneous or excelling beyond others. It seems to be doing its collection of data the same. It's giving you the same funky kind of sleep chart. Your heart rate shows activity level together with it, which is really nice. Heart rate variability is clean. Blood pressure, clean as long as you check it. The biggest difference was in blood oxygen and the way the different devices appear to be presenting it. And this is consistent over different nights and even moving them to different arms. So the 400, this particular one, could be the whole line or it could be just this watch, but this particular one is giving the most visible variability overnight. The least sensitive appears to be the 500, and then this one is, I don't know. I don't know if it's accurate or if it's just flat line and picking two numbers or what, but blood oxygen reading is a little more sensitive and different between them. But blood glucose, it's identical. It is so identical. It's like, it's scary. Body temperature, same thing. Very, very close to the same. And of course, ECG readings are identical across the board in how they present the information, because you're getting a solid electrical connection no matter which one you're using and how you're doing it, as long as you're making contact and your skin is moist. Wow. All right. I hope this has been helpful. There is a recommendation I would have is to pick up either the round one if you like it, or the square apple looking one if you like it, and buy this one too, the 600. It's the newest one. I think this is the cleanest and easiest one to use as a chest strap. It's inexpensive. You can take this off of the bands, have it ready to go in here, and strap this on your body. Use whichever one of these you want in addition to this one if you'd like, and wear them on your arm. But this is the one I would get pretty much if you want to have one dedicated to wearing a chest strap while you're working out or have the flu or whatever, or taking it by hand, your ECG charts. That would work really well. If you don't want to spend the extra money, then whichever one you get will work, of course, fine. You just have to take the bands off of it and move it into its appropriate case periodically, and that's a little annoying. So there you have it. All three of these watches do pretty much the same thing electronically inside in a different size and shape format. So what's it going to be for you? You want the VKE400 and its round capacity? You want the Apple size and shape E500? Or are you happy with a band that is the E600? All of them are available. Once again, you're not restricted to watching Smartwatch Ticks on YouTube. You now can head over to any TV you've got, any streaming device you've got, and launch us from Free TV. We're on the Free TV Creators Clubhouse. That's here at bit.ly/freetvclubhouse, or you can just simply download the Free TV app right now on your Android, your iPhone, your Roku, your streaming sticks of choice. Launch over there to the Creators tab, and boom, you'll find Smartwatch Ticks available for you. And we have some premieres happening on Free TV before they hit YouTube. Check it out.